Hello and welcome to Ripple Ashtanga Yoga. So, this is the first full length class of our 12-week series. And each week we talk about some foundational pieces of Ashtanga Yoga. Um, and then we kind of do just a few poses at a time. And so, this is the first class. So, this is starting from scratch. And just to quickly introduce myself, my name is Amanda, and I have been practicing yoga since 2008. I started just like in a college class and really enjoyed it. I joined the Peace Corps after college and brought some like yoga and meditation books. So when I had downtime, I kind of explored those a little bit. And then I really got into it after the Peace Corps. So I had moved out to the West Coast in San Diego and did a 200-hour yoga teacher training and then a 500-hour. I taught some yin yoga and some basic like hatha yoga classes. Really loved it. And then I moved back home for a year and stumbled into PJ Heffernan's Ashtanga Yoga Shala. And after one class, like I was hooked. I was like, this is the yoga that I have been looking for. Um, and I don't think I've done any other yoga since then. It just, it was exactly what I needed. And it also really humbled me. I mean, I had been practicing yoga for, 6, 7 years at that point and teaching. And after really getting into Ashtanga, I was like, oh, like I don't know that much about yoga. And so for the past 12 years, I've just been a student. Um, Now, with that being said, again, this is Ashtanga yoga focus because that's what I have to offer. If you try this first class out and you're just like, this maybe isn't for me, that's fine, right? There's so many different types of yoga, and like all yoga is good yoga. So find the one that works the best for you. Um, but I started Ripple Ashtanga yoga because I just wanted to maybe like get rid of some of the barriers that people face when trying to access Ashtanga yoga. Um, So, with that said, though, if you do live in a place where there is an active Ashtanga yoga community, a shala, a teacher, other students, and you have the means, like I highly suggest checking them out um, and supporting them. There really is nothing like having an active community to support your practice. But again, this is to take away some of those barriers. So, if you don't have the means, um, this course, this community is completely free to everyone. We do accept donations, but only if you have extra to give and it feels joyful for you to give. Like if you've received something and it feels joyful for you to give back, then it is accepted. Otherwise, like don't worry about it. We don't want it. We just want you to have this practice. Um, and so yeah, I think some of the other barriers that this also helps to eliminate are um, some people don't have right like a vehicle or like reliable transportation, and so doing this virtually also erases that barrier. And I think in this like post COVID world, a lot of us enjoy being home. We don't want to really leave our homes, especially when it comes to like a yoga class. I think yoga studios can be very intimidating. And so this way you're in the comfort of your own home. Um, I think again, the transportation thing, not even just having transportation, but even the time that it adds. So again, we're just trying to get rid of all the barriers because I just think everyone should have access to this. And yeah, so just a little quick note about yoga, which is one of my favorite things. Um, so we do have a live Zoom class that meets. And so these videos are for those of you who can't make that time, or if you want to go back and watch this, or if you're just not comfortable like joining the group at this point. But to access that Zoom link, I had people write in, like what are your goals? And Well, one commonality that we all had, which I thought was so special, was every single one of us just really wanted community. And so, again, this post COVID world, I think, is a big part of that. But I think we're just really lacking in having that community. And so, um, unintentionally, this is becoming just like kind of like a community builder, which makes me very excited because I too am lacking. My teacher locally stopped teaching, and it's a shame because he's a really excellent teacher. Um, but so I'm just kind of lacking that. We all are lacking community in one way or another. And so that's really exciting. But the other really cool thing is beyond the community piece, everyone had different goals. Um, a lot of people, right, have like physical goals of like just getting more flexible or having like knee pain or like wrist injuries or back pain and just wanting to feel better. A lot of people talked about wanting just to like have a practice to calm the mind and to get like creativity flowing. And I mean, there's just endless goals that people like come to yoga to get. And I think the coolest thing about yoga is the practice itself, right? The movements and the breath and everything that we do in yoga. What it's ultimately doing is just bringing your body and your mind back into balance and bringing like your whole system to equilibrium. And when your body can get into balance and into that state of equilibrium, it just heals itself. And so, all of these different reasons that people come to the practice for, everyone gets what they want. If you put in the time and the effort and you're really doing the yoga, like you will get exactly what you're seeking from yoga because all it's doing is bringing your body back into harmony and balance. And your body and your mind, like the whole system knows how to heal itself once it has that. So I just think that's really cool. And so that's kind of all of yoga, right? Now, Ashtanga yoga is very different than all the other types. And again, whichever type is your favorite, what you want to do, like, great. I just offer and love Ashtanga. And so the biggest difference in Ashtanga is that there's a set sequence. And so, you think of like traditional yoga classes, you go, there's a teacher, you have an hour, maybe 45 minutes, maybe 90 minutes, right? The teacher's at the front guiding you through something, and it's usually their own sequence that they've come up with. Um, but Ashtanga, it's a set sequence, right? It's very traditional. It's been handed down generation after generation, and yeah, it's always the same. And my teacher would always say, like, it's perfectly placed asanas. And And it's so true. I mean, they all have a very specific order for a reason. And I kind of like to think of that in the same way as I think of like a Grateful Dead concert, right? Like there's a method to the set list. There's a lot of ups and downs, and that's kind of how Ashtanga is. It's perfectly placed asanas. They're all there for a reason in that specific order. And I personally love the set sequence. I think, first of all, I think it's incredibly empowering that once you learn, I would say like half primary, and of course, even more than that. But once you learn half primary, like it's yours forever. And like, again, I think always supported local teacher if you have them. But if you don't, the practice is yours forever. Once you learn that, you have it forever and you can do it on your own anytime you want. And it's not dependent on, going to a studio or even like putting on YouTube and following a class. Like it is yours and you can just like have that forever. And I think that's so empowering. So for example, I had a community here in Milwaukee. I also lived in San Diego for like 5 years and had a great community out there. And my teacher still teaches out there, so I get to see them from time to time. Um, but there's not a community here anymore. And I still am able to practice on my own. Like I've not given up my practice. I practice, 5, 6 days a week. And and I haven't lost any of it because I just felt so empowered that like, okay, this is mine. I know this order. I know this, and I'm not going to let it go. Um, the other thing that I think is really cool about having a set sequence is you really get to use it as like a tool for self-awareness and to like really observe yourself beyond being on the mat. Okay, so this is kind of the example I always like to give. Um, Say we're getting to a part in the sequence where we're doing some twisting, right? And you twist all the way around, and one day you can twist all the way around. You can like grab your hands behind your back. Feels so good, so easy. Um, and you like love it. Okay. So then maybe it's the next day or 2 days later, you're practicing again and you get to that exact same part. But this time, like you can hardly twist. You certainly can't grab your hands. And you're like, what is going on? Right. Um, then if you want to think this deeply about it, you can like go back in like the time between your practices and be like, what did I do differently? And it can be something as simple as like, okay, I ate dinner really late because I had some friends over, right? And so either maybe I ate really late or maybe we had some ice cream and I had sugar really late at night. It's just simply my body is inflamed or full of food. And so I just don't have access to that deep of a twist today. Um, it could be that you got in a fight with like your sister and you're just really upset, like emotionally, and you can see how that affects your inflammation or like how tight you are or like your lack of movement in your body. And so having this baseline, like same sequence that you do every day, you really get to understand how the habits of your day when you're not on the mat affect you on the mat. And I just think that is so cool. Again, you don't have to make any changes. You can simply just use it to notice, personally, I did use that to kind of change and improve some of my stuff. Like, um, just like my eating patterns, my sleeping patterns, um, my relationships, like all of these things. So again, just a tool for more like self-awareness. Okay. We'll get into like the actual physical part here pretty soon, but just a few more things. So what we're going to focus on when we get to actually like doing the practice on the mat, there's just a couple things to keep in mind. And you kind of build on these as you go. Okay. So, first of all, there's of course like the physical placement of your body. And so I'll try to break that down as good as I can, um, as slowly as I can, as detailed as I can. But that's kind of the first part, right? Is the actual physical placement of the body and like where your feet are, where your hands are, like just the basics. Okay. Beyond that, though, we have this thing called the Tristana. So there's three things beyond the physical placement of the body that we really focus on. And the first one, of course, is the breath. So every movement that we do in yoga is going to either be on an inhale or on an exhale. Okay, so an easy rule of thumb, usually, if you're going through the practice and you forget, is if anything like is being like lifted above your head, if anything is opening, expanding, getting bigger, that's going to be an inhale breath. And then the opposite. So, right, if we're lowering down, folding in, contracting, squeezing in, it's usually going to be an exhale breath. Okay, so breath is kind of the next thing. And again, after they kind of build on each other too. So after like you understand where your physical placement of the body is, then you start really trying to like sync those movements with the breath. So breath. The next thing is dristi, um, which is basically like where your eyes are looking. So most of the time, the dristi is going to be like at the tip of the nose. I actually have two piercings, one on each side of my nose. My teacher Liza in San Diego gave me that tip because it just makes holding your dristi here a lot easier when you can kind of see like the sparkles. You don't have to go pierce your nose, but that just helps me. So the dristi often is at the tip of the nose. Sometimes that changes and it'll be like looking at your thumbs if your hands are like up in the air. Sometimes it's looking at your toes if we're in a seated position, like folding forward. Um, in our down dogs, it's going to be looking towards the belly button. So it changes. But again, these kind of build on each other. So I think you kind of first get the placement of your body, then you start figuring out the breath, then you start focusing on your drishti, but still something to keep in mind. And lastly, we have bandhas. And bandhas are basically energy locks in our body. And the three main bandhas that we work with in Ashtanga are Mula Bandha, which is like the pelvic floor. So it's like this subtle lift of the pelvic floor, and that's to lock in the energy from flowing downward. Then we have Uddiyana Bandha, which is the one I guess we use Mula Bandha a lot, but I would say we use Uddiyana Bandha a lot in the practice as well. So it's kind of like a lock in your stomach or your gut. And this probably isn't going to make sense now because, my teacher always would say bandhas are something that comes after years and years of practice. And so Uddiyana Bandha, the way I kind of think of it, like I think of it like the Heimlich maneuver move, where it's kind of like a suck in and like up. So it's kind of like an in up to like lock in here. And then third is our Jalandhara Bandha. So basically that's our throat lock. And so that's probably the easiest of the three. But basically it's just bringing your chin to touch your chest and see how we're locking that energy up here. Again, bandhas come after years and years of practice, but just something to kind of keep in the back of your mind. And I really think they do build on each other. Again, once you kind of know, okay, right, I'm breathing correctly. This is an inhale, this is an exhale, this is an inhale. Then you start looking at your drishti. Then you kind of start to do the bandhas. I think one thing to keep in mind throughout all the movement on the mat is just really engaging the core. And that's kind of, I think, the start of understanding Uddiyana Bandha. Okay. All right. Well, I think that sets a good foundation for just kind of what we're doing here. Like, what is yoga? What is Ashtanga yoga? I do have in my notes for this first class just about an opening and closing chant, which we do in Ashtanga. But we'll get further into that next week. Because I do want to just like give us a bunch of time to go over the physical part of the practice. So yeah, we're going to do that now. So what we're going to learn today is Suryanamaskar A, Sun Salutation A, which is basically the very first part of the sequence. So again, right, set sequence, it's the same every single time. So we always start with Suryanamaskar A. So I'm going to demonstrate it and then break it down piece by piece and kind of just go from there. And so again, Suryanamaskar A is the first thing that we do every single time we start our practice. And it's kind of like a warm up for the body. It really just stretches everything out. It gets us moving, it gets our heart going, the blood flowing. And then we're also today going to learn the finishing, like the last three poses. And so just like the warm up's getting us like ready and like warmed up, our body stretched out for the rest of the practice. The finishing three really like bring our nervous system down and like just calm our energy. And that's how we want to leave our practice, is calm and relaxed. So it's really important that you do the closing three. Even if you're just practicing sun salutations, it really is important for you to also do the last three poses, just so that when you get up off the mat, that your nervous system is like very regulated and calm. And yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. So I'm going to do one full sun salutation just to show you, and then I'm just going to show you the last three. But I'm only going to hold the last three for 3 breaths. We actually hold it for 10, but we'll get to that when we get there. So here we go.
Okay. All right. So when we begin, we stand at the top of our mats. We call this samastitihi. So we bring our feet to touch each other. We stack our hips above our ankles, our shoulders above our hips. We have our hands at our sides. And then we stand tall. So we have our shoulders just like back a little bit, chest up, heart open, looking at the tip of our nose. And then here's the first sun salutation. And then again, we're skipping all the in-betweens and we're just gonna go down to the last three. Okay. So I'm going to now like break that down step by step. One thing I did want to mention that I forgot to say, the breath that we use in Ashtanga is called Ujjayi breathing. And we'll get more into that in the next session as well. But just know it's breathing through the nose. So we breathe through the nose for both our inhales and our exhales. Um, and it's like a loud breathing. So my teachers would always say, breathe with sound. And it's like you're kind of breathing from like the back of your throat and like kind of up here. So it's not just, but it's like a deeper breath. So it's like a really deep breath. Again, breathing through the nose with sound. We'll get deeper into it in the next session, but just for now, remember it's breathing with sound through the nose. Okay, so back to the mat. So again, we start in Samastitihi, and we're going to go over the first three breaths first. That might be a little bit better. Okay, great. Okay. So again, Samastitihi, everything stacked, shoulders back, standing tall and proud, hands at your side. So the first breath is an inhale because we're reaching our arms up, we're expanding. So inhale, arms come all the way up. And then we look up with our necks, look up with the thumbs. So that's our inhale breath. So inhale that full movement. Then on an exhale, we hinge at the hips, bring our hands down, forward folding, bring your hands all the way to the floor. If you need to bend your knees here to bring your hands to the floor, please do so. And you're bringing your head in. That's all on one exhale breath. Then the next inhale breath, I come up to my fingertips, but you want your head up, flat back. Some people have to bring their hands to their shins, but that's all on an inhale. Okay, so those 3 breaths, pretty simple. But again, the full movement on one inhale, one exhale, one inhale. Okay, so we're going to do that again and then go into the next part. The next 3 breaths are a little bit more intensive. So here we go. Starting up at the front of your mat, samastitihi. We're going to inhale, arms come all the way up above our head, inhaling that full time, looking up at the thumbs. Exhale, hinge at the hips, forward fold, bring your hands to the ground, bring your head in. Inhale, head up, flatten back. And then exhale, bring your hands flat onto the ground. I jump and then lower down like into a push-up. Okay. So this is called chaturanga. And again, we have to do all of these things on one exhale breath. Okay. So I just showed you the jump. You can also step, and lower down. Okay. So those are kind of like the different combinations. You can either jump, lower down, or step, lower down. And on the lower down part, you want to keep your elbows hugged in close to you, right? Your hands are going to be flat on the ground. You either can come forward and hover, or you can drop down all the way if you need a little rest. If that's a lot, like in your shoulders and your arms. For now, especially if you're just beginning, feel free to like lower all the way down and take a quick second of like a rest, okay? Or you can hover. So I'm going to show you right now, step, hover, and then I'm going to show you step, lowering all the way down. But I want you to kind of play around with this as you're watching this and decide like what's going to be the best for you. Okay, so if we're here, we inhale, exhale, again, bring the hands down to the ground. You want your fingers spread, step, and then I come a little bit forward and lower down, and I'm hovering. My toes are curled under, and I'm just hovering, okay? Or we're in an inhale, flat back. Exhale, hands on the ground. Step. My elbows are still hugging in, but I lower down all the way down. So again, it's up to you if you want to jump, if you want to step, if you want to hover, or come all the way down. But I think the most important parts are that when you go back into chaturanga, your hands are flat down, fingers are spread. You want the most like surface area of your hands connecting to the earth. And you want to make sure your elbows are tucked in close to your body. You don't want them like winging out. That's going to be really hard on your shoulders. So elbows close in, okay? So now let's just say we're all the way down. Your hands stay in the exact same spot here. They don't move. Your elbows are still in tight. But do you see my feet? You can't really see them in the video. But the tops of my feet are on the mat. Okay, so then here, that was all on one exhale breath. Okay, so from here, if you're down all the way, you can push yourself up part way. Or you can, on a big inhale, you're pushing into your hands and bringing your shoulders up and your head back. So this is, again, if you decided to Come all the way down under the mat. See, my legs are touching the mat. You can either, so you're going to push into your hands. Again, elbows should be tight next to you. You're either pushing partly up where your elbows are bent. I think this is a little harder. Or big inhale, pushing into your hands, straightening your elbows, head comes back. And again, that's a big inhale. A lot of people take a very shallow inhale there and they run out of breath. So take a huge inhale there. Now, if you came down and you hovered, you simply flip your toes and push into your hands, straighten your elbows, head comes back. Okay? Let's try that all together. So Samastitihi. Inhale, arms come up. Looking up at your thumbs. Exhale, come down. Hands to the ground, head in. Inhale, head up, flat back. Exhale, step, step or jump. Lower down. Inhale, push into your hands, shoulders come back. Good, then from here, we again push into our hands, curl over your toes, push your hips up and back. So let's just do that again where we're going from up dog to down dog. Again, in the up dog, I cannot stress this enough. In that up dog, take the biggest inhale that you can take. Again, a lot of people take a very shallow breath and you get very out of breath. If you take a big inhale there, you're going to be so energized. So, okay, if you lower it all the way down here, elbows are tucked in, hands don't move. So we inhale, push up into down dog, straighten those elbows. Exhale, again, you curl your toes under. And then you're going to push into your hands and lift your hips up and back. And so here, if you can see, my hands are spread open. My hands are about shoulder width apart. My feet are about hip width apart. So if this is new to you, if you're new to yoga, you're new to down dog, get into this. Practice that again from up dog to down dog. Okay. Once you get into the down dog, I want you to find where's comfortable for you. You might need to walk your heels in a little bit for a while you kind of get used to that stretch. Or maybe challenge yourself and try to bring your feet back a little. Again, but hands should be shoulder width, feet are hip width. And once you do find your comfortable spot, one more thing. If you need to bend your knees, really what we're looking for is length in the back. So from tailbone all the way up the spine is what we're really trying to stretch. So if you have really tight hamstrings and it's really a stretch in the legs, feel free to bend them so that you get a straighter back. And you can slowly work on stretching them. In fact, if you just do the sun salutation over time, they just will open up more. But once you find your nice position here, again, you want to just really push into those hips and straighten that back. And this is where we're going to be looking towards our belly button. So you kind of bring your chin to your chest, looking towards the belly button. And we take 5 resting breaths here. And with each breath, just really feel like that opening.
in like your shoulder area, your low back. Good. And then after the last exhale, you can either jump or step your feet between your hands and come up into a flat back. So that's all an inhale. And then we exhale fully to fold all the way in. And then we take a big inhale to stand up, bring our arms up, look up at our thumbs, and exhale, Samasthiti. Okay. Hopefully that went okay for you. Let's walk through it one more time together. And then we'll do the finishing 3 together. Okay. So we start as always, Samasthiti. Ekam inhale, bring your arms up above your head. Look up at your thumbs. Due exhale, we're going to hinge at the hips. Bring those hands all the way to the floor. Bend your knees if you need to. Head comes in. Inhale. Head up, flat back. Chatori, we're going to step or jump. Lower, hover. Pancha, we're going to inhale into that big up dog, elbow straight, but next to your ribs. Head back. And then exhale, pushing into the hands, going over the toes, pushing the hips up and back into down dog. Again, workshopping and figuring out like where the best everything placement is for you so that you can easily get into that position. So you can take your resting breaths and really catch your breath here. 3, looking towards the belly button and really stretching that back straight. 4, 5. Sapta, we're going to step or jump our feet in between our hands, head up, flat back. Ashta, we're going to fold in. Nava, we're going to inhale all the way up, stand up, looking up at the thumbs, and exhale, Samasthiti. Okay, so now we're going to do the closing 3. So good news is we get to sit down on the mat. Again, if we were doing like half primary series, we would, there's a lot more. There's another sun salutation. There's the standing sequence. There's half of the seated sequence. There's the closing sequence. And then we would get to the final 3. But again, we're doing this in segments so that you can feel confident to do this on your own. So go ahead and just sit on the mat. So for each one of these 3, we breathe 10 breaths, okay? And they should be like very slow, like relaxing breaths. So the full expression of this one is we take lotus. So try and see if you can do it. Some people are naturally flexible. So basically we're going to take our right foot and we're going to bring it into like the crease of our hip and our leg. So right foot comes in, and then we take the left one and we push it or pull it over that right leg into that crease. So this is lotus. If you can't do it, that's fine. Like, especially if you're brand new to yoga and brand new to Ashtanga. Most people can't do that right away. It takes some practice. So if you have time too, while you're, sitting, watching TV, coloring, like whatever you're doing during your day, if you want to just even stretch one leg into half lotus, right? Get that kind of just stretched out, try the other one. Eventually you'll get it. And I think, again, even just doing sun salutations every day, your whole body's going to just open up and you're going to get more flexible. So it'll come. Okay, so if you can do lotus, so you're in lotus, you're then going to take your left hand, put it behind your back. You can twist a little bit, and you're going to grab this left foot.
this big toe. Then you're going to take your right hand, reach it across, and grab the right toe. So let me do that towards the camera. So now you have this bind. And then all we're going to do is take a big inhale. And then exhale, we're going to lean forward. I bring my chin to the ground, and my drishti is at the tip of my nose. So I bring my chin to the ground, and I take 10 breaths, very slow breaths. Now, if you can't take lotus, you're obviously not going to be able to bind your feet. So these are some different things that you can do. Again, try these out right now and see what works the best for you. So if you can only take half lotus, go ahead and do that, right? You can just stack your feet like that, whichever side you want to take. If that's even a lot for you, you can sit just cross-legged however is comfortable and whatever you are able to do right now. Again, if you do this most days, your whole body is going to open up and you're going to be able to do all of this stuff. Okay. Obviously, if you're sitting like this or even in half lotus, there's no way to bind onto anything. So a couple of things you could try, because we do want like a heart opening expansion in the front. So you can try and do like a behind your back prayer, because that's going to open your shoulders, open your heart, and then you can just lean forward from there. If this is too much, because that's a lot of rotation in the shoulders, you can try and grab like for opposite elbows, or even like wrists, or even like fingertips. So just kind of, again, play around there, see what you can do. But even if you're just sitting cross-legged, like normal, this, right? And you grab your opposite elbows, you're going to inhale and then exhale. You're going to fold forward, bring your chin or your forehead to the ground. Again, I like bringing my chin because then I can keep my drishti on my nose a little easier than if I go onto my forehead. But again, play around, see what you like. And then really slow your breathing down on these, okay? So that's the first one. The second one, you keep whatever leg position you have, and we're going to take Jnana Mudra. So basically with both hands, we're going to touch our thumbs and our pointer fingers, and then the other 3 fingers are going to be like straight out. Actively engaging them, as my teacher likes to say, don't get lazy. So really straightening them. Okay. So again, sitting in whether it's lotus, half lotus, just regular cross-legged, whatever you want to do, you're going to take that Jnana Mudra, and then the backs of your hands are going to go onto your knees. Shoulders are back. We always are trying to open our hearts. And this is where we're going to take that Jalandhar Bandha. So you're going to bring your chin all the way to your chest for the whole entire time. Microphone. So hands are here. Elbows are straight. Fingers are straight. Chin is at your chest. And then you take 10 breaths here. And this is my favorite. This is where your breath should be the absolute slowest. I always like try to make it like a game and just see like how slow can I hold, like make my inhales, and how slow can I make my exhales. This should be so nourishing for you. Anyway. Okay. Now the last one, Udputtihi. I'll show you from the side. So we should always be facing the front of our mat. I'm just turning that way just to show the camera. Okay. So if you can take lotus, you take your lotus. You bring your hands like by your hips, maybe a little bit in front of your hips. And then what you're going to do is you're going to lift your butt up off the ground. And I like to push my feet into like my arms. Head up, looking towards the tip of your nose. 10 breaths. If you, again, can't take lotus, no problem. You can even do this with a slight like cross of the legs. You can lift your butt up. If that's really hard for you too, you can still have the slight cross of your legs or your feet and like push into your feet. So your feet are grounded, your hands are on the ground, so you have a lot of support. It's a little easier to push up your butt. Um, that one's obviously hard, right? It takes some strength, some focus, but just like try it, see how it goes. And if you can't get it today, okay, like try it again tomorrow. Like every day, try it a little longer. Um, so yeah, so that is what we're learning today. I think let's do it one more time. But this time, no, let's just do that one more time. And we'll see how that goes. So in Ashtanga, when we're doing our Suryanamaskar A in the sequence, we do 5 of them. We do 5 of them in a row. And I know anytime I've taught this before, after maybe like 2, 3 times, people really start to get out of breath. Again, it's new. You're not focused really on the breath so much because you're more focused on how do I get into that chaturanga? Like, oh no, am I doing this right? Where are my elbows? Like you're just again thinking about the physical placement of the body. And so that's where the breath becomes so nice because you can just do so much. And like it just gets easier and easier. And so if that happens while we're doing this, if you get really out of breath, just remember the more that you understand and remember where your physical placement of your body is, the more you can then start to really focus on the breath, the easier it's going to get. I was going to save this for like maybe a later class, but here's another little nugget of um, one of my favorite parts about yoga that my yoga teacher shared with me one time. So everyone gets really out of breath when they're learning something new. So again, if you're new to yoga, new to Ashtanga, new to sun salutations, it's pretty much guaranteed that you're going to be out of breath after 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. And that's okay. That's kind of the point. And so I don't remember exactly what pose I was working on, but it was some pose in the sequence. And I was losing it. I was getting so mad, so frustrated. I was so out of breath, and my teacher, I'd been practicing for a long time, so he knew me well. He's like, hey, he's like, it's okay. Like that's what this is supposed to be doing. He's like, anytime you learn a new pose, you're so in your head about it because you're just trying to figure out like, where does my body go? He's like, but the more you do it, the easier it becomes because you don't give up. You do it every day. Eventually something clicks and you're like, oh yes, now I understand this. And then you tap into the breath. When you tap into your breath, again, you can start to focus then on the drishti or the focal point. When you're really focused on something and your breath is natural and easy, you can start to work on the bandhas. And when all of those things come together, you're able to do it. And not only do it, but do it in such a calm and relaxed way. And that's what this is all about. We're learning to regulate our nervous systems. And so this practice is purposely going to really rattle your nervous system. Okay. And that's okay. That's what it's supposed to do because what it's doing is giving you the tools to regulate your own nervous system. And once you can do that here on the yoga mat, you can take those exact same things and use them in your everyday life. Like things that used to just set you off are not going to set you off anymore. If you take the time to really learn these things on the mat. It's so cool. So please continue with this. But with me saying that, it's just While we're going through this, um, I think maybe let's just do two together right now. And then we'll do the closing three. Um, and that'll be good. And I hope that watching this video, even us doing two together, I hope it's not long before you can really understand it yourself and like work up to doing five on your own. Okay. Work up to that. I'll probably make another video where I'm just doing the count so that you can play that um, and move along with the count, and I'll do it 5 times. But we're not going to do that today. We've done a lot. And again, this is some of your first times with this. So let's just see how it goes. So we're going to do it twice, and then we're going to do the finishing three for 10 breaths, okay? 10 breaths each. Okay. So here we are at the top of our mats. Hands at your side. Ekam, we're going to inhale, arms come all the way up. Look up at your thumbs. Due, exhale, hinge at the hips, bring your hands all the way down to the ground. Bend your knees if you need to. Head comes in. Trini, head comes up on an inhale. Get that flat back. Chatori, we're going to chaturanga, step, step down on an exhale. Pancha, we're going to inhale, arms straight, pushing into those hands. Big inhale. Shat, exhale. Pushing back into our downward facing dog. Hands are shoulder width apart, feet hip width apart, pushing back into the hips, looking towards the belly button for 5 breaths. 1, bending your knees if you need to straighten that back. 3, still looking at the belly button. 4, 5. Sapta, we're gonna step or jump our feet in between our hands, inhaling flat back. Ashtanga, we're gonna exhale, fold all the way in. Nava, we're gonna stand up, inhaling, arms come up above our head, looking at the thumbs. Exhale, Samastitihi. And right back into it. Inhale, arms come up, looking up at the thumbs. Due, exhale, folding in, hands come down, head in. Trini, head up, flat back, inhale. Chatori, chaturanga, jump, lower down. Pancha, inhale, straighten those elbows, push into the hands, head back, big inhale. Shat, exhale, pushing into our hands and pushing back into our hips. Downward facing dog, 5 breaths. One, looking towards the belly button. Fingers spread. 2, resting. 3, catching our breath. 4, regulating our nervous systems. 5, Sapta, we're gonna jump or step, inhaling, head up, flat back. Ashtanga, we're gonna exhale, fold all the way in. And Nava, all the way up. Hands come up above the head, looking at the thumbs. Exhale, Samastiti. Good job. Okay, now we're going to come down to our mats. We're going to either take lotus or cross-legged or half lotus, whatever you can do. We were playing around with it before, so you should have decided which one you're going to do by now. And then we're going to bind, whether that's grabbing our toes or grabbing our elbows behind our back. Whichever one you decide to do, do it now. And then we inhale to sit up tall and exhale to fold forward. And if you cannot make it all the way to the ground, just go where you can. You can let your head hang heavy. You should be feeling a stretch in like those hips regardless. If you can, bring your chin and your forehead all the way to the ground. 10 very slow, deep breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathing with sound out the nose. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're going to sit up on an inhale. You can release your bind. Yoga Mudra. So we're going to again take that Dhyana Mudra. Pointer finger, thumb touching. The other 3 fingers straight. Elbows, arms straight. Back of hands on the knees. Chin touching chest. And these should be the slowest breaths that we take. So just calm everything down here. One, 2. Watch your chest rise as you inhale and fall as you exhale. 3, 4. Still sitting up really tall, chin to chest. 5, 6, 7. Shoulders down, elbow straight, fingers straight. 8, 9, 10. Hope you all feel super relaxed at this point. Now, Utplutihi. So again, you should have figured out what you're doing for this when we were workshopping. So what we're going to do is just lift our butts up for as long as you can, hopefully for 10. We count a little faster here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. And that is the first class. So I hope that that really broke it all down for you. They were able to follow along. For those of you who already know this stuff, maybe it's just a nice refresher, or maybe um, you don't even really need to watch this one. But regardless, thank you so much for watching. Um, if you have any questions, like please, 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 please reach out. Let me know. I'm happy to help with anything. And again, even if you just did today's class and you never go beyond it, and you practice this and you practice this well consistently, like you're gonna feel so good. Yeah, and we're actually past the hour. So again, there's usually a closing chant. We'll get into that next week, and that will become a regular part of what we do. Um, but how I always like to close my own practice, and so I'm going to share it with you. I just bring my hands to my side. I usually close my eyes for this, and I just acknowledge the earth below my feet. I inhale, raising my hands above my head, acknowledging the heavens above my head. I bring my hands down into prayer to the heart, meeting in the middle at the heart, and always lead with love and gratitude. So thank you, 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 thank you so much for showing up, for yourself, for me, for this community, and I mean for the entire world, if you're going to really regulate your nervous system. So thank you so much, and again, reach out if you have any questions. Namaste.